So it looks like all of you wanted a tutorial on the Be a Light facial palette by Becca Cosmetics. So I'm gonna get started. I went ahead and did just my foundation, brows, and eyes. That way this could be more of a quick tutorial for you guys. So I hope you enjoy it, and pretty simple to use, so I think most of you should be able to pick this up pretty quickly. So I have the Be a Light facial palette, and I have it in the light to medium colors. As we discussed last week, there is a highlighting powder, a blurring powder, a bronzer, and a highlighter blush. I do things a little bit differently in regards to the highlighter blush. It's a little bit too light and too reflective for me to use just as a blush alone, so I'll show you guys how to do that as well. The first thing I do with the Becca Be a Light palette is I take my tapered brush. This is the F25 by Sigma, and I go ahead and just get a nice amount on my brush, about that much. And then I like to go over my T-zones with this. And then obviously into the cheek area. And this is a finishing powder essentially, but what I love is that it has that really pretty reflective kind of a glow to it. So very subtle, not a highlighter by any means, but a great way to finish and set your foundation without looking too matte. I think glow is pretty in these days. So again, I just went through the T-zone, down the nose, chin, and then I also hit right here in the cheekbones, just under the eye as well. So when I'm done with that, then I like to use a large powder brush for the blurring powder. This is the F30 by Sigma. So again, just taking some of the product, dipping it onto the end of the brush, and then I will actually go in the lower parts of my face and then just around the edges of my forehead. So I also really love to go down the neck with this powder. So just hitting the perimeters of my face with the blurring powder, which is the darker powder in the palette. Should be on the right side. And then just down the nose, or down the neck. It's a Tuesday and I'm still trying to get it together. Okay. So now the blurring powder is done. So you guys can see that the foundation overall looks a little more matte, but it still has this really pretty glow to it. So I'm obsessed. I'm using this every day with my makeup. Now, in regards to the bronzer, I like to do this after I've done the powders on my face. So I take an angled brush. This is the F40 by Sigma. I'll sweep it across the bronzer, and I cannot tell you guys how much I love this bronzer. It's so pretty. I dust it right here in this area below the cheekbone, and I always go with the angle up, so that way it dusts a little bit onto the cheek as well. Always go through the jawline with this. And then of course, I'll go through my forehead. I have a bigger forehead, so I try to put a little more bronzer closer in so it doesn't look so big. And an easy way to remember doing your bronzer is to just think about doing butterfly wings on the outside of your face. So it should be like this, kind of like you're making the little wings. Pretty. And then to do my nose, I like to take a smaller brush. So I'm going to use the small contour. It's going to be the F05, I think, by Sigma. I've used these brushes so much. And I like to just get down the sides of my nose with this, and then right here at the end. And then if I feel like my face needs a little more warmth, then I'll go back through even with this and dust slightly above where I went over with the large angled brush, as far as where I applied my bronzer. So I'll just get back there and just do a tiny more touch up. This gives more of a precise application, so if you feel like you need just a little bit more warmth to your skin, then I love to go back there with a smaller contour brush. Okay, So last thing in the kit is going to be the highlighter blush. I am taking an Anastasia Beverly Hills brush. It's the A23. And I'm going to just pick up a little bit of this highlighter here. And because it's supposed to be a blush, I like to go a little bit lower into the cheek with this, just to get that pretty rosy highlight started. I think you guys can see that right through here. And I know that this is, the tutorial is going over 5 minutes, but I do a lot of talking, as you see, and I try to explain what's in the kit. Something I love to do, and I think it's a big game changer for makeup, is if you have a blush, especially a highlighter blush, I love to go ahead and pop a little bit of this right under the main arch in your brow. It gives you a subtle rosiness that I think just overall kind of completes the look. So again, I've done my highlighter blush. So then after I've used the Becca Light facial palette, I'll go back through with a regular brush. My favorite is Tarte Exposed Amazonian Clay Blush. The shade is Exposed, I'm sorry. So I'll go back through and sweep that right into the apples of the cheeks. And I'm a blush girl. A lot of former workers will tell you that I love my blush, so if you don't like it, sorry, but I do. I think it makes me look like me. And that is it. So pretty quick, easy. You get so much with this facial palette, which is why I'm so in love with it. I hope you guys enjoy it, and if you have a chance to try it out, if you buy it, it's available at Sephora, it's available online with Becca Cosmetics. So if you do have a chance to try this palette out, I would love to hear your feedback. So thanks again.